Now our fourth example here is, let's run the similar app getting started container from Windows PowerShell through the Docker command line without using Docker desktop directly, explicitly. So implicitly the uses of Docker desktop will happen, but explicitly we are not using. So we will open the Windows PowerShell, and in Windows PowerShell we will have a Docker command line. We will give the Docker commands there, and we will run the container, and the container should be built, and the container should be appeared and in Docker desktop. Let's do this exercise, and then we will host that similar application in our local host machine, and we'll see. Okay, so let's get into that. So let me open Windows PowerShell as run as administrator, and I say S. Let me clear the screen, and Docker help. Okay, yes, you got the commands. That means the Docker has thrown help. That means the Docker client, that is CLI command line, Docker command line interface is available. The Docker CLI is available. Anyway, Docker engine is available with the Docker desktop, and API connection is anyway there. So now I will give commands from Docker CLI through Windows PowerShell, and it will go to the Docker engine, and it will be executed there, and it will be shown through the Docker desktop. That's what the process is going to happen here. Okay, let me type that. This is the fourth exercise. Example 4. So I'll type it clearly. Client Docker command line interface. That is our client. This client will be executed. The client will be operated through Windows PowerShell, and we have API which makes connection and communication between Docker CLI and Dockered or server or client server. Then we have a server, that is, or else we call it as a Dockered. Okay, this is our Docker engine, and so the commands that we give from the Docker CLI will be executed by Dockered or server, and or engine or Docker engine, all are same. Dockered or Docker server or Docker engine, all are same. Through API, and these will be displayed by Docker desktop in a graphical user interface. That's what is this exercise. So now I have opened the client Docker CLI, and it is working properly, so I will mark it. So now let me give commands from here. So first activity I'm going to do is Docker pull. It is Docker and getting started. So the image is being pulled. So pulling from Docker, getting started. So 3.371 MB. There are a lot of layers. Almost 3 plus 3 plus 3. 9 layers are present. 6 layers has been pulled, 8 layers, 8 layers has been pulled, and last layer has been, so all layers has been pulled. So now getting started latest. Now let me go to the Docker desktop and we should find, you see that, just, you see, Docker getting started latest unused about, okay, it was created 1 month ago, that's fine, it's a recent one, but it's been pulled into our local machine, okay, through this. I'll give Docker images. We should find two images here. You see, Postgres is one image, and this is our Docker CLI, and second one is Docker getting started, two images. And let me check here. You see, Postgres and Docker getting started, two images are present. And let me check Docker ps, how many containers are there? Three containers are running. And let me check here, how many containers are running? Three containers are running. Absolutely brilliant. Three containers are running, so hence it's proven. So now I'll go to this. So that means there is a proper communication between client and server is happening through API. So event server has come, takes, now let's clear the screen and let's run a container, that is Docker run name. I'm gonna give this is Docker doc container, Docker doc container, and detached mode and port mapping 8 50. I'll give localhost, that's fine, 50 and then 80. And content image name is Docker, okay, what's the issue, image name is Docker getting started. Yes, it's been built. I'll say Docker ps. You see that Docker doc container has been built 3 seconds ago. Let me quickly get into the Docker desktop, and you see Docker doc container has been built. It's running. So I can directly click here to host it in our local machine. Yes, that's it. It's been hosted. Local host and port number is 50. That's what I have mentioned. If you have a doubt, I'll show it again. Again. Okay, this is not the one. This is not the right place. I'm sorry. I'm in Windows PowerShell. You see that? 50. This is the port I have hosted, and this is the Docker container which is running at that port in our local machine, in my laptop, in my personal laptop, in my host machine, in my local host. So hence it's been hosted. Even it can be hosted using command line interface even in Windows machine also. So hence we are able to prove that. And if you want to cross check again, you can use Docker inspect, and then Docker no, this is not the one. Docker inspect, Docker getting started image, yeah, this is. And if you want to exec, Docker exec it, and it is Docker, no, Docker doc container and bin bash. And if you want to run some commands, you can run commands ls. You see that the commands has been run. And if you want to do pwd, you can do pwd, and or else you can do bin sh. Now we have entered inside the container terminal. You see only pound symbol. We have entered inside the container symbol. We can give pwd, you can do ls, you can do whatever you want, because we have inside the container terminal. And let me get back to the Docker desktop, and or else you can just click on show container actions, view details, and come to the terminal and say ps. You see that all the processes which are running. So what all processes are running? nginx master process, daemon of nginx worker process, and bin shell and ps. These are the processes which are running inside that. And then you can give ls. You see that it's exactly similar to a, it's similar like a miniature os. And pwd time and date, uptime, a lot of things. You can do whatever you want. As so now we are able to prove this also, like client API and server architecture and commands. We have executed commands and it were displayed by Docker desktop in our graphical user interface also. So let me mark that. So now let us clean up. So final one is cleanup, or I would say housekeeping. So let's do the housekeeping now. Let's begin with here only. So I have two options, but I will clean it. Some I'll clean it from here, some from Docker desktop. Okay, from here to clean. So okay, first I have to exit from here. Yeah, clear the screen. So Docker PS. So how many are there? Docker PS option A. So same. So for me total 4 containers are running. So I will stop the container first. Docker stop, and I'll give the name of the container Docker Docker doc container stopped. So the Docker container has been stopped. Docker PS. You see now only 3. Now I can remove the container saying Docker rm Docker doc container. So now let me check Docker PS, gone. Docker PS option A, gone. You have only 3 containers. Okay, so this is how you remove the container. And for images, Docker images. So I have 2 images, so I will delete Postgres image from here. No, Docker getting started image from here. So Docker, just a minute, Docker rmi, and I'd say Docker Docker doc. It is no image name, no, sorry. Docker getting started. So the image has been deleted, each layer has been deleted. So now let me give Docker images. This is called, see, it's been deleted. This is how you delete from Windows PowerShell. So now let me get into Docker desktop and user interface to delete the same. So let me stop the containers first. All containers gone, stopped, exited. Now I can delete it from here without any commands. Delete forever and delete. Oh, sorry, these are logs. That's not a good idea. It will be delete forever and delete forever. So containers has been deleted. So I have only one image. So I will delete the image also. That's it. Our Windows machine or local host or local machine has been cleaned up. So now let me get into my Docker server and let me do the housekeeping here also. Sudo I clear the screen. Let me check Docker images. I have 3 images, and Docker PS I have a lot of containers. So now Docker PSA. So I have more containers. So now let me stop the container one by one. Docker stop. So hello world has been stopped anyway. And then other containers. So Docker stop. Load balancer 1, load balancer 2, load balancer 3, and document container 1 and document container version 2, and stop it. Error response from daemon, no such container load balancer 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's fine. That's my mistake. Let me do that. Version 1, version 2, load balancer version 3, load balancer version 2, load balancer version 1. Yes, all were deleted. All 5 were deleted. Now let me check docker ps. Okay, still one container is running, that is load balancer. So let me delete that. Let me stop that also. Docker stop load balancer. Done. So now give me docker ps, no container at all. So now what I will do is I will do docker psa. There are a lot of containers, so I'm going to delete each container. So docker rm and type name one by one. Nice tarp is hello world container. Then we have load balancer container, then load balancer version 1 container, then load balancer version 2 container, load balancer version 3 container, and document version 1 and document version 2. Done. All has been deleted. I will say docker psa empty. House is kept clean. Then let me check docker images. Sorry, docker images. I have 3 images. So let me clean up this part also. Docker RMI, Nginx, and Docker getting started, and hello world. That's it. All has been deleted. So Docker RMI, sorry, clear the screen. Docker images. That's it. Gone. House is kept cleaned. So here we have seen how to run a getting started container using Windows PowerShell, using Docker command line interface, and accessing the application in localhost. And we have done the housekeeping for all the containers that we have run till now in Windows host machine as well as a Linux server. That's a Docker server in both cases. And let's, before we close, let's get into the browser and we'll cross check all one by one. So this is what, welcome to Nginx. We have stopped this container, we deleted the container, we have LC. What's going to happen? Gone. This is also deleted. Gone. This is also deleted. Gone. This is also deleted. Gone. Getting started is also deleted. Gone. This getting started with port number 70 is also deleted. Gone. And getting started with port number 50 in the local host is also gone, because we have stopped the containers and we have deleted the containers. We have kept the house cleaned.